The Karambit, one of the most wicked looking knives ever conceived. It is also one of the most pervasive blades in modern culture. The knife has found widespread popularity in movies and video games due to its alluring profile, but it's not all show. The Karambit's aggressive cutting action has made it a weapon of choice around the world. Today, we're going to be diving into the world of the Karambit, what it is, and where it came from. Let's get into it. This is an example of the quintessential Karambit. It features a forward sweeping blade, a compact profile, and the immensely popular finger ring. Most times, the Karambit is a full-tang, fixed-blade knife, but variations exist. In fact, the only requirement for a knife to be classified as a Karambit is that it must be one-handed and feature a significant arc inwards towards the edge. You can find many different flavors of Karambit: long, short, ring, no ring, strongly curved, weakly curved, traditional, modern, folder, etc. All of these are Karambits, but in general, most blades have a moderate curve, a smaller profile, and the finger ring. These bring out the best performance out of the Karambit's concept. Forward curving blades are exceedingly aggressive cutting knives. The martial artists in the audience can attest to how much pressure a Karambit trainer applies when a cut is being made. A Karambit catches and bites deep once it makes contact with its target. That aggressive cutting action is a large part of the reason the Karambit is a popular weapon in the various martial arts from the Indonesian region, and also why it has become a popular choice today in modern combative circles. The more the blade curves forwards, the more aggressive that cutting action becomes. Some blades have an extremely tight curvature, bringing the blade up to a 90-degree angle, but this has some problems. The cutting action can be too aggressive and the blade can catch, either by the tip embedding in the target or by the entire blade acting like a hook on the target and not being able to complete the draw of your cut. Furthermore, such a tight curve takes away the ability to thrust. Thrusting at 90 degrees gets real awkward. With that said, there are martial techniques that rely on that catch by hooking on the target and jerking into the muscle and down to the bone. Other Karambits make use of much more shallow angles, but face the opposite issues and lose some of their cutting power. This knife is a pretty good middle-of-the-road option. The finger ring also remains popular for a couple reasons. For the traditional martial artists, the ring is used to throw the blade out for extended cuts or hooking the blade and making pull cuts. I can't demonstrate those techniques, but check out some of Doug Marqueta and Steve Tarani's material to see that in action. A more practical day-to-day application of the ring is retention. For those who prefer the Karambit for everyday carry, the ring can be incredibly handy. You can utilize your knife, then drop it and let it hang from your finger while being able to use your hand with full dexterity, then quickly recover the knife to make more cuts. It's a very useful thing when working in the field, which might actually be where this knife comes from. With that, let's take a look at where the Karambit comes from. The origins of the Karambit are murky, to say the least. It is, without a doubt, a blade of the Indonesian people, and it has been an important part of their culture and arsenal for centuries. However, there unfortunately does not appear to be much in the way of written accounts on the Karambit. Much of the history of the Karambit is oral tradition, often embedded in legend and mythology. What we do know for sure is that we can date the Karambit to at least the 14th century. This statue clearly shows a Karambit in the hands of Aditya Warman, king of Pagarayong, a kingdom in modern-day western Sumatra. Aditya Warman's reign lasted from 1347 to 1375 AD, during which time this statue was created. This statue is the oldest evidence of the existence of the Karambit currently known. We can extrapolate a couple of things from this. First, the Karambit came into existence no later than 1375, although it could have easily predated Aditya Warman. Second, the origins of the Karambit are most likely based in the region of western Sumatra. And third, the Karambit had reached significant enough prominence and/or prevalence to be acceptable in the depiction of a ruling monarch by the time the statue was carved. So what about before that? Well, that's an excellent question, but I don't have an exact answer for you. A common theory is that the Karambit started off as an agricultural tool. If you look at harvesting tools in pretty much any culture, you will find at least one sickle-like blade. Combined with the utility of the finger ring, it would make a lot of sense that the Karambit first found life as a small harvesting knife. Another possible influence on the Karambit was the Mahabharata, one of the most important epics in the ancient Indian tradition, and particularly revered in the Hindu culture. The story details the events of the Kurukshetra war. This story was exported to the Indonesian archipelago and translated around the early 11th century AD. The translation changed a couple of things, however, so that it was believed that the Mahabharata occurred in Java, not India. Now, how does an old Indian epic connect with the Karambit? One of the characters in the story, named Bhima, was blessed with large, curving nails on the ends of both thumbs. These nails were exceptionally strong and capable of cutting through durable materials, as well as being a symbol for various philosophical themes in the Mahabharata. These are called the Pankanaka nails. These nails are particularly prominent in Wayang shadow puppet plays. Wayang plays were a popular means of entertainment that spread stories such as the Mahabharata across Indonesia. It is very probable that the Karambit, at least in part, evolved to be an imitation of the Pankanaka nails. Another influence is likely the cultural importance of the tiger to the Minangkabau people of West Sumatra. The tiger was considered a guardian of the Minang people in the Pegadaian kingdom and is still considered as such in many places to this date. In some traditions, the guardian tiger is actually a half-man, half-tiger shapeshifter, and there are other variations of this belief. As a result, the tiger has historically been extremely important to the Minang people, and the similarity between the Karambit and the claw of a tiger cannot be disregarded. Any one of those possible origins we covered could have been the sole inspiration for the Karambit, or none of them could have been. We can't say for sure. But my personal take on the subject is that all of the influences, agriculture, the Mahabharata, and the tiger mixed together and evolved into the Karambit. So my question for you this video is, what influence do you think played the greatest role in the creation of the Karambit, and why? Let me know in the comments below. And if you've been enjoying this video, consider getting a YouTube membership with A Knife Life. It greatly helps support this channel, only costs $1 a month, and prioritizes your comments so that I can get back to you sooner. Thank you for your support, and let's get back to the Karambit. Whatever the origins of the Karambit, we know for certain that the Karambit was first weaponized among the Minang people. Similar to the Kris dagger, the Karambit wasn't a primary weapon. Larger weapons, such as the spear, dominated the battlefields just as in every other part of the world. But, just like every other part of the world, it can pay to have a sidearm. Over time, the Karambit spread its influence throughout the Indonesian archipelago and became a popular weapon to carry due to its size and cutting potential. The Karambit started to be carried in conjunction with the spear and the Kris dagger, providing a last-ditch weapon. It was not uncommon for the blade of a fighting Karambit to be laced with poison. As the weapon became more entrenched, it was adopted and integrated into the various silat martial systems throughout Indonesia. Eventually, the Karambit made its way to the surrounding regions in Southeast Asia. Naval trade was of vital importance to the Indonesian kingdoms, and the Karambit made its way along these trade routes to Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and most notably to the Philippines. Similar to the Indonesian peoples, the Filipinos have had a strong affinity for edged weapons and readily adopted the Karambit into local martial systems. Many different variations evolved as the Karambit spread out. Larger Karambits were created for use on the battlefield, while smaller blades were created for personal protection, utility, or even assassination. The Karambit would also begin seeing exposure to the Western world as explorers, traders, and conquerors from Europe became more prevalent, starting with the Portuguese in the 1500s and later the Dutch and the British. However, the Karambit did not see the same success expanding to the west as it had in Southeast Asia. But if that's the case, why is the Karambit so widespread these days? There are two reasons. The first is the introduction of the Indonesian and Filipino martial systems into the United States. Both of these martial traditions have been steadily growing and gaining momentum while increasing the profile of the weapons they use. The Karambit is chief among these, as it has adopted the best to the modern world among its fellow traditional weapons. And of course, it has gotten a significant boost from modern media as well. The Karambit is a very novel knife compared to many other blades we encounter regularly. This puts it into a similar category of the Balisong and Italian switchblades, all of which are favored in movies and games for their flash. For those interested in procuring a Karambit, your best bet is Karambit Maker. Most of the modern blades in this video are his work. Karambit Maker is the best maker of Karambits that I am aware of. Not only is he an excellent bladesmith, but he is a practitioner of the traditional Karambit fighting arts and well-versed in modern combatives. His designs are effective, ergonomic, and zero bullshit. Reach out to him on Instagram or Facebook to pick up one of his blades. I will have links to his work in the description. And as always, let me know what blades you want to see in future on The Knife Life. Stay safe and keep living the knife life.